Hello mates, welcome to Budgie Gaming. I'm your host Finley. We just had a crazy Indie World showcase from Nintendo that showed off tons of great looking games. Not only that, but we got 3 shadow drops from the event, which were UFO 50, Tiny Bookshop, and of course the game I'm about to review, Is This Seat Taken? All fantastic looking games, but I wanted to play Is This Seat Taken? First because I've been following this one for a while now. The premise of the game is pretty basic, just seat every character. But of course, it isn't that simple. Every character has their own likes, dislikes, and needs when being seated. Some of them need to be seated by air-conditioned vents on a hot day. Some don't want to be seated next to strong scents. Some people can't be seated behind people holding banners at sporting events or behind people with large hats at the movie theater. And some people want to sit beside someone who has snacks so they can take a bite whenever they please, even if they're being seated next to a stranger. As you might have guessed, this can get pretty complex the farther you get into the game, especially once the game introduces different wants and needs from the characters. What starts as a don't sit this character by someone because they're playing loud music turns into complex situations such as this character is sensitive to cold and wants to talk to someone, but the only person who will talk to him is running hot and needs to be by the air conditioning. So it's your job to figure out how to make them both happy. The gameplay starts out simple enough, where all you have to do is arrange people in taxis. Simple enough because there aren't many seats to fill and the characters aren't very picky in these stages. It starts to get a little tricky at the movies and adds an entirely new layer of complexity once you get to the bus levels. Most of the earlier levels, such as the movie theater, have you place characters in their spots, and once you finish the level, you move on to the next level, where everything from the previous level is gone. Think of it as everyone left the theater after you cleared the level, and the next level is a new set of moviegoers. The bus levels, however, are not like that. Once you clear a bus level, some of the passengers will depart, but some will stay since you haven't reached their stop yet. This means you have to work around their wants and needs with your new set of characters who have their own wants and needs. This means that you will most likely have to rearrange the characters you already picked a seat for during the last level. It sounds simple, and I suppose it is, but I thought that was a really cool attention to detail. This idea is pushed even further in the restaurant levels. Here you have to do the same things I just mentioned in the bus levels, but now you have to worry about what food the characters want. Luckily, you can seat strangers in the same booths, and they can even share the same hamburger or cup of coffee to satisfy their food cravings. Even still, it can get a little tricky, especially if you're trying to 100% complete the level. It's a shame because this is one of those games where it is hard to show just how fun it is through gameplay clips, because a lot of your time is spent looking over each character, finding out their wants and needs, and then messing around with the seating arrangements to figure out where they need to be seated. In the first few rounds, you may get by with placing characters in random spots, but as the game goes on, you definitely need to figure out exactly where they need to go, due to the complex seating arrangements and the amount of people that need to be seated. The bonus levels, such as the wedding, are pretty cool because there is only one free seat, so this one has a very specific way to solve this puzzle, which feels refreshing because a lot of the puzzles feel like there are various ways to solve them. Overall, I prefer the more open-ended puzzles, but the more specific puzzles, like the wedding puzzle, felt like a nice way to break it up. In order to unlock these bonus levels, you have to get perfect on every level in that specific story in order to unlock the bonus level in that city. Each level adds something new and interesting. Movie theaters base their seating on who uses their phones, who has popcorn, who has tall hats, and who doesn't want to sit in dirty seats, which was kind of funny since the people who didn't shower were usually the people who didn't want to sit in those seats. Restaurants were based on what the person wanted to eat. Boats were based on who wants to party and who didn't want to get splashed. The train added this entirely new element of storing passengers' luggage, which felt very reminiscent to Resident Evil 4's Storage. I know, a weird game to bring up when talking about a cozy puzzle game, but that's what the mechanic reminded me of. I like how the game teaches you a mechanic that you use for a while, just to completely reverse the rules on that mechanic based on what's acceptable in particular environments. For example, I was so used to pairing characters together that wanted to chat on the bus and train, so I assumed I had to do the same in class. But when I did, I was confused as to how I didn't 100% complete the mission. Then I realized that in class, you had to separate the characters that wanted to talk in order to keep them quiet during class. Again, something else that is such a simple concept, but I found this idea to be very clever, especially in the way it got us used to pairing talkative people together and then completely reversing it by forcing us to split the talkative people apart because they were in an environment where they shouldn't be talking. Since this game's difficulty ramps up significantly when trying to complete each level 100%, I decided to see if you could progress by getting very few of the puzzles correct. And it appears that you can. I was randomly throwing characters anywhere. Of course, I was getting a lot of the character positions wrong because of this. But the game let me carry on with the story. I think this is a great feature for anyone who wants to play the game for fun or for the story without stressing about it. But if you're a puzzle game enthusiast, trying to get 100% on a lot of these levels can be a very daunting task. Speaking of the story, it is pretty cute. It revolves around Nat, who dreams of becoming a movie star. With encouragement from friends, Nat decides to chase their dreams, which is how you end up in 5 locations throughout the game. This is also why you find yourself in many transportation levels, such as train stations, airports, and bus stations. In case you're wondering about handheld mode, this game is perfect for it. I didn't have any issues with performance, and most importantly, it fully supports touchscreen, which makes the gameplay so much smoother. Do keep in mind, I was playing it on the Switch too. One complaint I did have for the game was some of the controls. Sometimes it was hard to get the cursor exactly where you wanted, especially when there were 3 or more rows of characters. It was annoying, and the issue does come up a decent amount of times, but it didn't spoil the experience much at all. Overall, I'd highly recommend this game for anyone looking for a fun and unique puzzle game. I think this game is suitable for anyone from a hardcore puzzle fan enthusiast to a casual cozy gamer. The game will take about 5 hours to complete, maybe 7 or 8 if you're trying to 100% complete it, which I plan on trying. This game is also available on Steam if you don't have a Nintendo system. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like and subscribe button. It's a huge help for small channels like mine. I plan on doing more reviews for indie games in the future, so if you like the sound of that, there is another good reason for you to hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments if you plan on getting this game, and also your opinions on Indie World Showcase as a whole. All right now, until next time, take care, mates.